Hey there, business owner. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. This is our weekly episode, and I'm so happy you are here. Let's get started. Welcome to this week's episode of the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. This is the go-to business podcast to support you on your evolution to build and scale your business to 10 million and beyond so you can live the life you originally dreamed of when you first set out on your journey of entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Annette Walter. I'm a business coach, operations expert, and the owner of 2 multi-million-dollar companies. You will walk away from this podcast feeling inspired with solid gold nuggets of advice that can be easily implemented into your business. Real talk, real growth, real business. Today, I am joined by Dave Cummings, founder of Cummings Co. Realtors. He single-handedly founded the company in 2006 and has held every position since its inception, including broker, accountant, agent, contract review, and cleaning crew. Dave has grown the agent base to the hundreds and opened 10 locations in the Maryland region. In this podcast, you will hear about his growth over the past 15 years and his dedication to his agents and their clients and the community. Here's a fun fact. Dave was my first ever client at iEvolve Consulting. I'm so proud of his growth and how he has truly disrupted the traditional real estate brokerage model. I know you will enjoy this episode. Before we get started, I want to remind you to connect with me directly to schedule your 2021 empowerment call. This is a free call for you to show up, vent, process, and brain dump about where you're stuck or swirling in your business. I really encourage you to carve out some time for you and your business. More details about Dave, booking a call with me directly are in the show notes below. Thanks for being here, entrepreneur. Keep evolving. I am so proud of you. Enjoy today's episode. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Annette. How are you today?
Good. I'm really excited that you're here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
It looks like a nice day out there.
Yeah, it is nice.
So we are joined today by Dave Cummings. He is the founder of Cummings Co. Realtors. And most recently, huge news that dropped yesterday?
Over the weekend.
Top places to work in Baltimore Sun, Nat?
Yes. Number one in the large size business category. So
oh my goodness.
Definitely a nice honor for sure.
Huge. That has got to feel amazing. You have such amazing people. You have a wonderful market share. And I want to catch everyone up to speed from the beginning days and really where you started out, because it's such a great story. And I know that everyone listening to our podcast, they are entrepreneurs like you, like me, that are out there making it happen. And I know they're going to learn so much from you today, Dave. So thanks for being here.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
I'm going to take you back to a moment. This was probably, oh my gosh, I don't even know. You and I were at a closing together, and you hadn't started the company yet. And it was back in my mortgage banking days. And gosh, I'm trying to think about what year that might have been, maybe 2005. Okay. And I remember we were catching up because we go back to the high school days. We know each other well. And you said at the table, you said, I'm going to own my own brokerage one day. And I'm ready. I'm getting my broker's license right now. So you're like catching up. How are things going? How are you, Dave? He's like, you were on a mission and you were going to do it. And I saw it in your eye. And that's why you announcing that Baltimore Sun just announced that this weekend. It's no surprise to me. I am so proud of you.
Thanks so much.
It's awesome.
Appreciate that, Annette.
Awesome.
We won't go back to the high school stories right now, but
that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. But no, yes, I definitely, I got into real estate at 25. And in the state of Maryland, you have to be a real estate agent for at least 3 years before you can get what they call your broker's license, where you can start your own company And I started the company in 2006, right when I got in at 2003. So when you say 2005, that is a very accurate time frame of basically me going through the 6-month class to get my broker's license and opening the business at, I was 28 with only 3 years of experience in the real estate industry. Now, 14 years later, I'm 42. But yes, I've been plugging away, and luckily things have been progressing well for me.
42, and how many locations and how many agents? Let's add that part in, because
so it's 10 locations. Obviously state of Maryland, also 1 location in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm also licensed with no physical locations. I'm also licensed in Delaware, Washington, D.C., and Virginia. So I've had to take all the classes and licensures and tests for all that. So I've got all that accomplished. And then it's a little over 500 real estate agents under my umbrella, about 20, full-time staff members almost now. I also own 100% ownership of a title company I opened a couple months ago. But my main focus, and always will be my main focus, is the real estate brokerage and the agents under that umbrella for me. This is what I really, my bread and butter, and I love.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So your concept is so unique, and I absolutely love it. It's smart. It's a powerful win-win for the agent and for the brokerage and for the client. So talk to me about how that concept came about. How did you know that something different needed to be in the market, and how did you know to follow your gut and go with it and grow it?
Yeah, so this is what has worked for me, I guess. Is basically, I had a lot of people that were like, "This isn't going to work. This is doesn't make sense. You're putting a lot of effort towards a wasted time or whatever." But I just believed in it. Thought it was a good idea. I knew it wasn't going to be like an overnight success, but I was, ready to sort of slowly but surely move forward. But basically, providing like a high level of service to the agents, which and focusing on experienced real estate agents, not new agents, because there's a lot of people that get in and out of my industry, and offering them basically 100% of their commission for a flat fee per month of $295, which I've never changed. So they basically pay me about $300 a month, and they keep 100% of their commission. And then they do pay like a fee for each house they sell. That is actually sort of part of the commission that the client pays. And it's not the first time someone has done this model, but the model everywhere else was probably 5 times more expensive to get that type of fee structure. And Remax was one of those people that was under that model, but has since changed like a 95% commission split and a large monthly fee. And they're in the franchise world, so they can't just have one thing that's unique about all my office locations. There's one key to get you into every location, one Wi-Fi password, all the copiers are the same, everything's sort of laid out the same. I pick high visible locations, high traffic locations. I really put a lot of money into the build outs. They're very fancy. They're like I would sometimes say like restaurant grade, like reclaimed wood walls and all glass conference rooms, and nobody was really doing their renovations to that level. And then to do it to that level and then also provide really like 100% brokerage for the fee structure I was charging, it just became like a no-brainer to a lot of of the agents in the area. And they also liked being surrounded by other experienced agents that had the same sort of commitment to the industry that I did, and not like a revolving door type company where it's new people coming in and out. So people typically come here and they stay because they're amongst peers that they respect and that they can bounce ideas off with and share and collaborate with. So it's just been a kind of a shift in a few things that other companies just have never really were doing, never done, that I sort of have done, and I think done well. And there's still a lot of other great companies out there that are competitors, but I've sort of made my sort of little niche, and it's working well, and I'm happy, and my folks are happy.
That's great. And you say 14 years. It's like, does it feel like it's been a long time, or does it feel like you basically blinked and now? Woof?
Depends on the day.
Right.
But,
Fair enough.
yeah, it depends on the day. But yeah, no, time has flown. I mean, it went from very small. It was like sort of a slowly but surely. It took me 8 years to get to 100 people because people didn't really have like the trust sort of factor in a guy that, had just only been in real estate for 3 years, and I'd never worked for one of the national big companies. So I was kind of a new guy, and there wasn't that sort of level of security and trust that I wasn't just going to fold one day. But when I got to the 8 years and I had sort of saved enough money and I got to 100 people, I purchased one of my first office buildings, did a very, high-end renovation in a very visible location. And it was kind of like, then people sort of gained a little bit more trust, and I got to 200 people. And yeah, so it took 8 years to get to 100, then it's taken like, another 6 to get to almost, a little over 500 now. So then having more people gave me more revenue to do more offices and do more things internally, hire more staff, provide more services, more technology. So, I've been lucky. I haven't had to really like take out loans. I don't have any partners, no investors, no hedge fund money, none of that stuff. So I have, full control of everything day to day, which, I value that. I've definitely gotten offers to sell and merge and joint ventures, and, not interested in any of that kind of stuff.
Well, and it's good that that's an important thing for you, right? And it allows you to steer a big ship, which was once a small ship, very quickly, and make those decisions and be decisive and responsive for your agents, right?
Yes.
So I remember when you were doing the renovation on the building, had bought the building, and how did that feel from going from having the one location, right, which is the one you're in now? Oh no, you're in Timonium right now, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Timonium. Yeah, I had Canton and Lutherville at that time, but this was like, really going much larger scale at that point. Buying a 7,000 square foot building compared to my typical 2,000 square foot spaces.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you know to identify the right location when you're looking at things?
Yeah, I mean, they always say real estate location, location, location. I mean, I just recognized that the high visibility traffic wise was basically the 50-yard line of a neighborhood in the city that was a very hot neighborhood. And it just happened to be one of those lucky for sale by owners. It was a bar, and they were selling it as a bar, and I was like, I don't care what you're doing with this liquor license. Go have fun with it. Sell it to somebody else. I just want the building. And nobody was really looking at it the same angle I was, of like an office building and a great office space. And it had been a bar that just never really worked, just because it didn't have a parking lot. It just didn't have great parking, but it was fine for daytime office location. And I basically tore off the face of the building and made it all glass storefront, brought in a lot of natural light, made it really stand out. So I just knew it. But at that point in time in the market, 8 years ago, or where it was, just that section of that neighborhood, nobody was doing anything commercial wise right there. And then since then, a bunch of other buildings and restaurants have come up. They're highly rated, and it's done well.
That's great. So of the multiple locations, do you have one of yours that is your favorite, or do you kind of like to bebop around?
I bounce around mainly between Canton and our Timonium office. Both Timonium I purchased last year. That's a 3-story building, 22,000 square feet. We did a big renovation of that. It's lots of glass and natural light. But I go around to all the different locations. I was in our Howard County location this morning. I was in Bel Air last week. I try to go around and see as many people as I could see during these interesting times, just to try to stay connected to everybody.
Good.
Yes.
Good. I value how you have always stayed really planted and present and connected with everyone in your company. It seems like you have that nice personal relationship. I know your holiday parties are always a big hit. I know that's probably sadly something that won't be in person this year.
No, I know. We have a food truck. I'm doing a food truck at every location. We've hit 4. We got 2 more coming this week. But yeah, we did a food truck. So it's outside. people were popping in, grabbing like something to eat, and then, either hanging out a little bit or heading out. But yeah, we used to, I am definitely a social being. So our holiday party was, full band, DJ, wide open bar, all that type of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I find that to be like, worth every single penny spent, because, in my industry, like, we kind of make, I charge them a fee. They bring me in fees. They keep more of their money, so they're happy, but I'm happy because I make, but it's kind of like important to me to make sure I give back and let them know that like, I, appreciate it. And I just think the holidays are just an important time before the end of the year to kind of like celebrate the year's success. So that's something like, I feel like no matter how big I get, I'm always going to have like an over the top holiday party.
That's awesome.
Cause I think it's just the way it needs to be.
That's great. So as you are growing the team and interviewing agents, is there any certain quality or qualifier that you really look for in your agents?
I've always really looked for like social skills. So like in our industry, more like, one of the most important things to me is my reputation. So it's like, I just need to have people that I feel like sort of gel with me. And I just feel like in our industry where you're working with potential buyer or seller, and then you got the realtor on the other end of the transaction and their client, and then the lender and the title company, you really need to be a good communicator. So when I say social skills, I mean, maybe communications is more of the PC word to say or whatever, but just being able to like problem solve, so I just feel like that all kind of comes along with like your communication, like social skills. So obviously integrity and all that stuff's important to me. I can kind of read people pretty quickly right away. But yeah, I mean, I am not a, everybody's welcome sort of brokerage. It is, minimum 2 years experience. I meet with every single person that comes here. I do not, if I don't get a good feeling for it, I check people's social media. I check with other agents that they may have been at the same office. If it's not a good fit, I mean, I got a couple of people who reached out to me now that I'm not sure that are a great fit. And, I unfortunately have to delicately say, I just don't think we're going to be a great professional fit. And as uncomfortable as that is sometimes, it saves me from potential other headaches or other people being upset that so-and-so, is sort of a bad apple. It's a delicate balance in my industry. There's a lot of egos. Everybody's got them. So it's a delicate balance.
But I think that's really good advice, is to, sometimes saying no up front saves you in the long run, just some things. And like you said, it's all about the reputation of the company, the reputation of your agents, and really making sure that that is of high integrity at all times, right?
Yes, definitely.
So what advice would you give right now to entrepreneurs at the starting ground? I'll take you back. I'll rewind you 14 years, What kind of advice would you give entrepreneurs that are just starting out?
I mean, I definitely see in today's world, I mean, I don't know, like looked on the news, it's like, the Tesla guy is like $5 billion richer in the last week because of his stock value going up, which is awesome. There's also some other young guy that is like now the first self-made billionaire with some other technology that he came out with, like driving the cars with lasers. And I love hearing all that stuff, but like that's a dime, that's you're one in a billion sort of kind of person that's going to have that level of success. I very happy, feel very lucky where I am financially at this point in my life. And I think it has to do with just a lot of those, like my patience factor, so my advice would be like, come up with your idea, believe in it until like, no matter what, but don't expect it like everybody else or every success to come like overnight. Like it's kind of like you have to work, you have to work for it. It doesn't just automatically just business pour in and you don't have to figure it out. I mean, I've worked harder every year than I had the year before. Like, so if you're going to really build a big business, expect to keep working hard. I mean, I've definitely learned to set better boundaries over the years. But my mind's sort of always churning, and I'm always sort of in work mode in some way, shape, or form almost all the time, because of the amount of new responsibility that comes as you grow. So I remember one agent said, hey, if you want to have 200 agents, you got to be ready to sign up for what that means or whatever. in terms of your personal life and your free time and everything else. So I had to shift my mindset like, this is going to be a grind, but this is what I want. But, so having patience and really understanding, like, the value, a lot of this, I always start to joke now. It's like, my kids are going to have it pretty well, hopefully, if this business can continue to maintain for the rest of my career. And after I'm gone, they'll have a lot of the things I put in place, squared away, but I'm going to be grinding my whole life. But I love what I do. So it really doesn't always seem like work to me. It's, a lot of times it's enjoyable, not every aspect is, but so I just think have patience and just stick with it.
Absolutely. And you've always had that hustle, the patience, the laser focus, and you've really kept your eye on the ball through the years, which has been great.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, another big thing is I have not gotten distracted by, outside potential businesses. People invest in this restaurant with me and do this and do that. That can just be a big sidetrack. I don't even put really money in the stock market, because I need to have enough cash on hand to open another office and do other stuff. So I just I am all in financially on the brokerage. I mean, I've set some things by having a business that has physical locations. I own 3 of the locations.
Right.
So that's, now instead of paying rent, I'm paying mortgages down. So they will be, assets of mine in the future. There's, a little bit of property management that comes along with that, but that's all for the better of the brokerage. So I'm fine with putting cash into owning locations. So then I don't have to worry about, landlords and lease renewals and all that stuff, but I'm not putting cash into restaurants and stock market and stuff. It's really staying focused in my sort of world.
Yes. And you've stayed the course, and it's, it's that accumulation of wealth and really making your business and your assets work for you in a smarter way, which is great. So yes. to the seasoned entrepreneur out there, the entrepreneur that's been in business over 10 years now, and a lot of people who've really had to quote unquote pivot in their business this year or change things up or feel like, the 10-year startup, right? What advice do you kind of give to them as far as keeping their momentum and finding the spark to keep going?
I typically look at my industry. I don't know if it's other industries. My industry is so transparent with the way our multiple list works on who's selling, X. If I ever start to need a little kick in the ass, excuse my language.
That's okay.
I'll look at what my competitors are doing. I'll log onto their websites. I'll log on to websites in other parts of the country, out in California, and see some of the, amazing things that, owners and leaderships are doing out there. And kind of say, that just sort of regenerates me. I'm like, what, they're keeping my pencil sharp kind of thing. Cause I'm like, look what they're doing. I need to step up my game. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I kind of live in this world where it's like, tomorrow is a new day. And what I have today may not be here tomorrow. It's not like I, set accounts with people for 5 or 10 years and there's just residuals coming in. It's like, I'm sort of always starting over. So it's kind of like, I can't take my eye off the ball because, a competitor with hedge fund money will come along and woo all my people away type thing. So it's like, I have to continue to sort of evolve, grow, and improve to maintain where I am today kind of thing. So I just think, kind of keep that in the back of your head, and hopefully that'll help, others push forward as well.
Absolutely. And I think that's really great insight. So COVID, people are home, people are wanting to be in different homes, invest in their homes, and, live in their space more. How does this year, 2020, look different than 2019 from the real estate aspect? Walk us through what is going on in the real estate world.
Yeah. I mean, when COVID hit, it was, a shock for all of us, obviously. The real estate world, the first couple months, it definitely slowed down. It was kind of hard to tell what people were going to do. Everybody's trying to figure out how things were going to spread and et cetera, et cetera. But, a lot of people, the interest rates really were awesome. And a lot of people finished out their transactions. and people started new ones slowly but surely. And then as we got into like May and June, it just like took off. I mean, the interest rates were just amazing. It just made so much sense for so many folks to consider a move. And I think a little bit of it probably had to do with just like, I have nothing else to do. So I'm focusing on some goals. And one of their goals was to improve their house. And then they proved it. And maybe we're like, we can get a really good price and we want to get over to the school district or whatever. So like, we don't have anything else going on. We don't have social stuff going on. Let's focus on getting what, our goal was of maybe buying a house this year or next year squared away now. And so people have done so. My agents, have done so in a safe manner. We haven't had any COVID, we haven't been like a link of any like spread that I'm aware of, obviously. Obviously a few folks have had it. They've let me know, quarantine, but we haven't had like a spread. Everybody's kind of as an independent contractor. We have office locations, but a lot of folks work from home. People that are worried about spreading it just, have, work from home even more so. Yeah, I mean, the offices definitely aren't what they used to be. But we're still, conducting business, in person, distance, masked up and all that stuff.
Right. And it's in a safe manner. It's great.
Yes. Yeah.
So what are some of your personal outlets? When I can really relate to what you said, when it's like, as an entrepreneur, you really never turn it off. You're always thinking about your business and it's always kind of on your mind, whether you're, in the shower or brushing your teeth or before you go to bed or whatever. How do you turn it off? And how do you have any, good outlets that kind of,
my one outlet's exercise is truly important.
Are you a morning guy or an evening guy?
I go back and forth. I was morning over this weekend and I'm going this evening.
Good.
So that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Music, big into music videos, YouTube videos while I'm working out. So that just keeps me from wandering too much. I do have my pilot's license. I have an airplane that's like a little Cessna. So that is definitely one place where I can like turn it off.
Oh, that's great.
Because you really have to be 100% dialed in. When you're up in the air, you're not looking at your phone and texting or worrying about work. You're just really navigating and trying to make sure your airspeed and all these other stuff that's going on is in place. So that's definitely a huge outlet for me. And like, that's just definitely a happy place. Happy place. My man, Jerry Garcia, his happy place was snorkeling.
Yes.
So he was always, sorry, that's what I meant to say. Scuba diving. Yeah. And so I kind of like took that from him. Not that I'm not into scuba diving, but yeah, I mean, people just, wherever he went, he was, obviously major, big time celebrity. And he like loved, like all of his bandmates just said how much he loved scuba diving because nobody could bother him. And it was just like a total escape. So it's like, yeah, I think it's definitely important for everybody to find that place where it's definitely like you can totally tune out whatever that may be for you.
Well, I didn't realize until the documentary how much of an introvert he really was.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hard for a lot of people that are in the big light, or
Can't imagine. I don't like that.
I know. And
hard enough for you to get me to do this.
I know. I'm so proud of you for being here. I mean, I asked you, I was like, I don't know. I don't want to put him on the spot. And you definitely thought about it. And then you came back and you're like, you know what? I'm going to do it. So I'm really proud of you. That's awesome.
Thanks.
One thing I've never asked you is how you got into flying airplanes and being a pilot.
I tried to jump off this big dirt mountain when I was like 5 years old trying to fly, and I broke my arm. So my mom will always say, like, you were trying to fly since you were a little kid. But yeah, no, I just like love the adventure and like the freedom of trying to get to the challenge of getting to places. I flew to St. Michael's and stayed at a hotel a couple weekends ago.
Great.
And I have friends at the beach, and so I just like love like the utility that they, as they say, of like an airplane, of being able to like get different places without the conventional sort of traffic and all that stuff. It's just the challenge of putting it all together.
I can only imagine how you feel when you're in the air, and that just being in the clouds and like controlling the whole vessel. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
I've never been in a plane that small, I don't think. It's like a junior, right?
It's four. Yeah, okay. It's four. But I mean, most of the time I'm in it by myself or one other person,
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So are
Definitely
you
had some experiences.
again, another podcast, right?
Yeah.
So, are you, do you read a lot of business books?
A few. I just
Yeah.
got a book called Mindset that came highly recommended to me, but I can't tell you much about it because I haven't opened the cover yet. But
Mhm.
I like the subtle art of not giving a F.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that's rough words. I'm not gonna say it out loud, but
That's right.
yeah, I actually write on my little pad of paper I have right here the 3 letters DBP, which stand for Don't Be Perfect. And
Okay.
I pulled that out of that book, which the meaning of that was kind of like, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time. So, I do like try to make everything perfect, have all my emails answered by the end of the day and everything perfect, everybody happy. And that book kind of said like, like it's not realistic to make everybody happy every second they want something, like, so
Mhm.
just chill and like, obviously do your job and be a hard worker, but like, you don't have to be perfect every single second of every day.
Mhm.
So that book, like the 1 minute manager, like,
Yeah.
that definitely helped me. Yeah. I think like a lot of those like New York Times best-selling business books really do help you kind of refocus. You can like, sometimes I'll read that book a second time,
Mhm.
peruse through it, you pull out other little things. But yeah, I definitely, if I'm going to read, it's typically a business book.
Me too.
Yeah.
I try, unless I get like a really good juicy book that I'm just like, can't put down.
Well, that's the female nature. No offense.
Oh, I know,
I don't
right?
get into the juicy books.
I know. So, so I know that you and I have talked in the past a lot about delegating, and I think that that kind of goes to the quote, don't be perfect. When you are a doer in your business and highly hands-on, and it's your baby that you grow from the ground up. How have you worked through letting go of things and knowing when to delegate and how to delegate to get to 14 locations and 500 people?
Yeah, that was definitely a big sort of pivotal moment that you and I worked through years ago that you kind of helped me with hiring my first full-time like administrative person for my brokerage. Literally I started off writing the 1099s, cleaning the bathrooms, like going to the bank, paying the commissions, everything. Had a little bit of administrative help, and then kind of took the step to hire that person full time, and then from there had more time to recruit more realtors, and then was able to hire the next person to the next person. And now every day, like I write a list of all the different things that are happening, going on, need to get accomplished. I have like I still do a handwritten list for like the most immediate stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have like a shared list on that app Trello with
Mm-hmm.
sort of my right-hand person. And we have like, 30 days, currently in motion, we have a couple different categories
Mm-hmm.
that we move stuff sort of through, and I can sort of check with her and add things to that. But I'm always looking at like the list, like mine, it's like, what can I ask one of the staff members to do for me, to work on for me, so that I just like remove as much stuff from my list so that I can then open up more space in my head to say, let me check on this agency, how they're doing, or something along that nature, and not get so bogged down just in like, all the emails and all the other things that people want me to solve for them. It's like, how can maybe one of my staff members solve this for them, without me having to spend, time writing this long email
Mm-hmm.
or calling them. I do try to maintain the relationship with
Right.
my folks though, but there's a certain sort of various tasks that don't need my involvement that I can sort of, delegate.
Right.
So now I've learned basically to look at the list every day. It's like, what do I actually have to do and what can I delegate?
Right. Yeah. And it's a constant reminder. I feel the struggle daily as well. It's like, whose job am I doing now? And, leadership is working through others and getting things done through others because we can't do it. Right. But I feel like I have to always kind of be really aware of that. Is that how you feel?
Yeah. There's just certain things. It's like, you could probably solve it pretty quickly, but there's the other side. It's like, but if I start down this path, I'm going to get sucked in and I'm going to be just responding back and forth with phone calls or emails or whatever. So it's like, let me just remove myself from this right from the start And if I need to get brought back in, I'll bring myself back in. But yeah, really trying to like say, man, I know I could answer this email, but this is really more, somebody else's sort of genre. So I'm just going to like forward to them or politely say, hey, this is Shannon's, this is Aaron's, this is Paul's area. I put them on this email. I'm going to let them respond. I have to head to an appointment, and I may not even have an appointment, but I just need to like let that employee, answer that question because it's in their field. If I answer it once in their world, that person's going to come back to me always. So
it is, but it's like that coaching of like, okay, let's go this way, let's do this, and it's a constant reminder. So I've been talking to a lot of entrepreneurs lately about growth and business planning. And in fact, a woman that I just interviewed prior to this for the podcast, she's out of New York. She's a fashion company out of New York. And she was saying how, I used to do 3-year plans, and now the 3-year plans aren't existing in my industry because everything's changing so quickly. How are you looking at things? Are you setting big long-term goals? Are you setting more of short-term gols?
We're probably like
your industry and your business is a little different, but go ahead.
Yeah, I'm like a 3-month sort of cycle. Like any goal that we put on like the board to like, all right, we want to knock this out. We want to create this program. It's usually like I don't expect things to happen like overnight. But everything that I want to do, like I kind of want to be like, all right, we're starting this, we're coming up with this, we're getting a bid for this, and I want it like squared away in like 3 months. I want it like live, ready to go. Now like I'm looking at future office locations, and that's just kind of like what comes on the market and could, I've been looking in Anne Arundel County, which is the Annapolis area, Maryland state capital or whatever. And, I put in like 3 different offers on buildings to purchase, and nothing's worked out so far. So, that's kind of like hopefully 2021 that will occur and a build out will occur. But most of our sort of planning for, we have some like set different things we do, awards ceremony, things like that. We know like certain things are going to happen every year that we have to like start planning for at a certain time. But then I just come up with other ideas and programs I want to build internally that go onto like the back end of our website for the agents to use. I want all that stuff like 3 months.
That's a good time frame, the 90-day mark. And I love that you mentioned Trello. I think that's just a great tool to use internally to keep tasks moving along in the company. And for you to make sure that it's like, okay, done, that's moving, without us being like micromanagers, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I definitely do not like to micromanage, and I don't have time to micromanage, and my staff doesn't want it but I think they don't need it. They're self-motivated, their compensation plans motivate them. They are just great hard workers. So it's like, I put something on there, and it's like, I don't really have to check back. It's just, they give me an update. They know like they kind of know my expectations. I may check in every so often, like how things going with that. Oh, like waiting on this, waiting on that. Like should have approved for you by Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you get this question a lot about franchising. I don't know if it's something you feel comfortable talking about or not, and growth, like, national expansion. Where are your thoughts on that?
My industry, I think it would dilute like the brand if I were to do something like that. Again, like I'd rather be smaller and have a really good reputation than franchise, dilute the brand, bring on a lot of franchise owners that don't really have the same value system that I have, potentially the same work ethic I have. So, I mean, I'm seeing some others with this sort of model that I have starting to do that across the country. They, have venture capital money. But I look at how the agents react to that, and they don't react to it well, to be honest with you. So in my industry, I don't see, if I were to go into another state or whatever, any of those folks having trust in myself and the brand. Just like when I see these other companies coming across, nobody really knows. So it's a little bit more of an intimate relationship.
Right.
And, I'm definitely want to continue to grow the business and my market share and my agent count, but I don't want to do that in a fashion that I think will hurt what I've built.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not for me in my industry per se.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely works in a lot of other potential industries. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I built mine sort of around, myself and certain things I just don't think will work in like a large, crazy, like I'm at 500. I think we could totally go to 1,000 realtors here,
Absolutely.
in time and still have the same culture and vibe
Mm-hmm.
and level of service and quality.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I don't want to go from 500 to 5,000 because
Mm-hmm.
I just, maybe I'm making more money, but I don't think I'd actually be happier.
Right. Yeah. And I think that there's so much value in everything that you just said. And your company, it is the intimate culture. It is that home base, culture, and everything that you've maintained through the years, through the addition of the agents. It feels the same from day one to day, whatever 14 times 365 is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean,
You
definitely.
can tell that
There's
from
people that liked it when there was 50 people and they're like, this is great, 50 people. But those 50 people are pretty much still here at 500 and they don't feel like they still feel like they have access to me and see me, and they still feel like, the things are the same and if not better though.
Right. More resources.
Yes.
I love how you have that autonomous entrepreneurial spirit within each of your agents, that they really feel like they're in total control of their business and how they grow their business, whether it be where they put the brand placement of their own personal brand, your brand. You've never really been so corporate-y about that, which is really, I think, a big value add for the agents. Okay, so how can we help you? This is all really, 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 really awesome stuff. I love it all. And it's so cool to hear your story and just, how much you've grown, Dave. You have to be so proud of yourself.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
So how can we help you? Any big asks to the universe?
No, just send positive vibes. I don't know.
That's good.
No.
All right. Yeah, send good vibes, right? So before we head off, one last question. Is there any personal mantra or saying or go-to phrase that you kind of repeat in your head to get you through hard times, to get you through, when you're stuck in your own head or whatever, other than your little acronym that you have there, right?
My don't be perfect.
Yeah.
Other big mantras.
Or Jerry Garcia song.
I definitely just kind of say to myself, like, I got to think like bigger, definitely always. You know what I mean? I got to think way, way bigger than whatever I'm thinking.
Yes. That's good.
I look at other young entrepreneurs. Being in Baltimore, Kevin Plank is just always going to be like a standout to me. He's only a couple years older than me. A few years, I'm 42. Maybe he's 46 or 7. He's been a billionaire for quite a long time. So I'm just always like, if Kevin Plank can figure it out, like, why can't I? If he can do it, I shouldn't be afraid to do it. So sometimes I'm like, man, should I scale back? Should I like slow down? I don't want to like extend myself, which I am very careful with all that stuff. I big on having extra savings and things like that. Like when COVID hit, I was like, not worried. I can sustain a very bad market and not have to worry about closing offices or laying people off, because I am just very cautious. But as I grow and I have more and more savings, I just think my big mantra is kind of like, think bigger. If you really want to go big, you got to think bigger. There's a certain level of like, my quality control that's in there, but you can't be afraid. If you really want to go big, you can't be scared. You got to be willing to take some serious risk. Calculated risks. So every time I take a risk, I don't really, after I've analyzed it and decided, like, I don't really feel like it's a risk. I just know it's going to be a lot of work to make it work, but I'll just keep working, until it's done, till it's where it needs to be.
That's right. That's so awesome. Dave, thank you so much for being here today.
No problem.
I'm so glad we got the chance to connect up. I'm so glad you said yes. You did awesome. See?
Thank you. Appreciate it. Feeling good.
And I'll talk to you.
Huge relief. Now I can go get some normal sleep again.
That's right. That's right. That was awesome. I'm so happy you were here. I'll talk to you soon, Dave.
All right. Bye, Annette. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All the best.
Bye. Wow. What an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@iEvolveConsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.